So, hate is a strong word. I ended my Kingdom Valley video saying I hate Sonic 06, and over the months I thought, do I? Hate feels so active. It's not like I rage about it all day. I don't want to stop other people from liking it. If anything, I want to hear why. I do still think it's bad. That never changed. And it's only been reinforced the more I go back to it. But Sonic 06 is a fun nut to crack. Even I gotta admit that. Kingdom Valley was always part 1 in my mind, that I would eventually try Project-06 and then attempt another 06 level afterwards. And today, we finally unpack this fan-made remake. That is absolutely not a mod. I'm so sorry, please don't kill me. I'll be playing version 1.4, which is the silver release. I know that the final update should be coming soon, but as far as I know, most of the core levels have been completed, so we'll give it a go anyways. Who knows, maybe it'll be released right after I put this out. Any creator who made an Unleashed video in February, I am ready to feel your pain. But I don't want to just zip right through P1006. I want to do it right. I had a lot of talks with you guys about how I should approach this game, and I think I got a fun solution here. I'm going in blind. I've watched 0 videos and only loosely gathered a couple of things from your comments. After that, I'm gonna consume the P06 material that people have recommended and tackle it a second time. And yet, that still didn't feel like enough. You see, I wanted to know how things changed. Specifically, I felt like the narrative context could help expand a lot of these levels, so before I played P06, I finally replayed Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Fully, to completion. Every character, every town mission, every world-ending scenario. And honestly, as a guy who is known for disliking this thing, I do want to talk about it. If you want to just skip to the project discourse, here's the time. But you diehards of Vanilla 06, gather around and let me spin you a yarn of my return to Sonic 06. So, after nearly 20 years of stewing in my childhood disappointment, did my opinions change on Sonic 06? Not really. I really did try to give it an honest go. Read up on the manual, explored the stages, attempted S ranks, but nothing changed my tune. Still, I did come out with a strange new appreciation for this mess. Not for what it could have been, but literally for what it was. There's a kind of twisted joy in somehow triumphing over a game that is actively trying to rip itself apart. Once you know the routes and the moves, the last hurdle is surviving the stability of Sonic 06. That's where the true challenge lied for me, and I sort of fell in love with my captor in that sense. Studied the glitches, memorized what to avoid, the survival was the fun part for me, not the game. I didn't pretend the jank wasn't there, I actively acknowledged it and used it as my true obstacle. Because if I'm being brutally honest, I think this game is actually pretty easy if it worked like it was supposed to. I followed all the rules the game was hoping to surround me with, but some out-of-sight bullshit always caught me in the end. Some glitch I wasn't prepared for. Sonic would clip off a wall, Shadow would teleport off a cliff, Silver would be Silver. It was so frustrating because I truly was discovering a newfound love for these stages. There is so much shit I missed as a child. Really clever skips, entire areas hidden in these huge environments. It was a ton of fun taking it slow and just looking around every corner to see where they might have hit a rainbow ring or homing chain. Levels that really impressed me were Radical Train and Flame Core. Even with their combat rooms, the on-foot segments were really solid. But I swear to God, my 2 absolute favorite stages that I kept playing for fun, I'm not even joking, were the Elise missions, Sonic's Dusty Desert and Tropical Jungle. I know, I like Ghost Town too, maybe you should kill me. I think it's just because there's a forced reduction in combat, and the game has to compensate by implementing more routes rather than enemies. Dusty Desert is like a legit sandbox, and that last section of Tropical Jungle is insanely layered. What was going on there? If I explored well and navigated my shortcuts correctly, I could skip most encounters, which is what I really love from a Sonic game. Another thing I want to touch on are the very hard variants. This shit was optional DLC, and it's incredible. It really reminded me of the Unleashed bonus missions. New stages built from the elements of the old. Sonic's Wave Ocean has him going backwards with multiple Orca attacks. His Dusty Desert has no Elise at all, and Tropical Jungle forces you through Silver's portion while still holding Elise. I mean, look at this shit. Plus, even in the straight retreads, they still include new camera angles and different variations of the classic moments. These really felt like the Dash 2s of our older brother, and I can't believe they were here all this time. I heard that these were going to be included in the final P06 update, and I am so excited for you guys to try them out, and to see them run normally. I have a lot of more thoughts on 06, but the big P is the star of this video, so let's wrap up. Even now, I have the urge to fire up the 360 and get the rest of those S ranks. Sonic 06 is definitely still a bad game in my eyes, but I had a lot of fun trying to survive it. This is of course speaking mainly on the gameplay, music, story, layout all kinda hang outside of my final judgment here. Anyways, I'm prepped to know nothing on my first run of Project-06. So let's fire up the executable and go in blind on the blind run. And hey! This is good! Yeah, who knew? But genuinely, I was impressed by so much on just my run through Ave Ocean. Sonic's locomotion reminds me of SA2, with his tilting and gradual speed. His animations are fluid and clear, as well as diverse. It's crazy how just somersaulting Sonic around helped me recognize his attack pattern so much more. Jumping headfirst into fights was fun. I was legitimately enjoying the combat. Also, just running through the beach with no frame drops was magical, as was the set dressing. Shadows, lighting, everything feels so fresh, which hammered home that 06 remastered vibe. But I also loved the new changes they implemented as well. Bouncing, sliding, and bonking in Mach speed made those sections more like trick festivals than terrifying gauntlets. Sonic's campaign was a joy to experience again, and I quickly shuffled on to the next hedgehog. Shadow, oh my lord Shadow. The combat man actually makes me want to combat. Like I said, the smallest little tweaks do so much. His multi-smack combo now reverberates on each impact. The sound is thicker, you lay into the core of the enemy rather than the head. For the most part, the move is pretty similar to the original, but adjusting the details around it made me enjoy it. I also used his rage meter so much more in this one. Before I had to lay off because I felt it would get me killed, but here it added this exciting incentive for each encounter, because you can keep juggling Shadow between groups of enemies and still continue the chain into track elements. Homing as far as you can, and then getting saved by the teleport? Oh, that's the good stuff. Also, the maturity meter is great. It makes each battle act as worthwhile progression for all of Shadow's cool moves. I found myself engaging in so many fights just to keep this thing up. His last two moves didn't get too much play from me because I hate when Shadow freezes in place, but Chaos Blast was very effective in those claustrophobic combat rooms. Shadow's fun little toys, while functional now, still felt like filler to me, which is why I was happy to see a lot more incentive given to just hoofing it on foot. I destroyed the searchlights with my spears. I ran Crisis City on my legs. It was awesome. Also, double tapping A and just boosting by the boundaries of the whirlwind, you read me like a book. Anyways, the ultimate life form is through. Ah, and then we get to Silver. Buddy, I've been waiting for you. I was most curious about this hedgehog, and I was so pleasantly surprised. Silver controls magnitudes better than in Vanilla 06. He legitimately feels like a different character. A character I wish got another game, because I imagined him playing just like this. His psychokinesis is so accurate, his movements are so graceful. There's fluidity with this future boy, which makes his slower speed a non-issue. That's what surprised me the most. A lot of my original problems with him are still there. I just didn't recognize them. I went through his entire campaign and was like, hold on, you do still freeze in midair to fire, don't you? That's something I hated from the original game, but now his battles went so smoothly, I never picked up on it. They made it work. My complaints were squashed. P06 proved to me that Silver's playstyle could hold up against Black and Blue. I was so relieved. Across the board, all three of our boys felt ripped out of a hypothetical Adventure 3, and I had a grand time going through them all. But I do want to end with one last observation. I was getting a lot of S ranks on just my first run, which connected with my theory from before. I believe Sonic 06 is a pretty easy hedgehog game once everything controls correctly. You gain a majority of your points through battles and holding your rings until the end. Previously, my biggest challenge was the stability, but with that out of the way, I really mopped the floor on a lot of these levels, even with the characters that I sucked at. Now, we gotta admit two things here. One is that I know these stages by heart now, so I knew which routes to take. I was primed for home runs in that sense. Two is that for the most part, all of our hogs have their full arsenal immediately unlocked. No waiting on the bounce ball or your anger bars. You start these hedges fully kitted out, which is honestly how I prefer Sonic games. It's why all my Unleashed videos are based around a fully leveled Sonic, because my early runs did not excite me as much as my later ones. It's a weird issue, and maybe I wouldn't even call it one. Hypothetically, if P06 included progression for these standard techniques, could that just get in the way of the experience? I certainly wouldn't want it, but I wonder if players who never experienced 06 found the project too easy. If you did or did not, please do let me know, I am curious. But it's not like I wasn't having fun. Crushing through Sonic zones is always a blast. Plus, they sort of have a new type of progression for all the custom moves they added anyways, so the upgrade climb is still there. But anywho, that's my brief summary on the blind run. But now, we must do our homework for run number 2, the homework run. It's time to take a deep breath and read the manual. Oh, someone please do kill me. For the homework run, I watched all the recommended videos on P06, while sprinkling in some of my own. I checked out the Bickery Trilogy, the Stelmo Saga, the Stelmo Speedrun, Stelmo Shorts, a peppering of Pariah, 2 types of J's, alpha supplements. It was a beyond lethal P06 cocktail, not approved by any federal agency. And I learned a lot. I also edited my script a ton. This is why I hold off watching videos on Sonic stuff I haven't experienced yet, because I get too neurotic about stealing someone's flow, which is why I'm glad we got the blind run in there. For run 2, I was actually gonna skip around a lot. First, gather up any last S ranks, then hunt for upgrades, and finally tackle it again just for funsies, now that my brain is so big. And my thoughts didn't change much. I wonder if the reason people told me to do so much prep beforehand was in case I didn't remember OG-06, but with vanilla in my brain, I wasn't bumping up against anything I wasn't prepared for. But I did learn a lot of things I didn't know existed, like Silver's little projectile shock. Not only does it stun, it can be used again for damage, which was nice when you run out of ammo on a small platform. I also learned that there was like a legit combo system in this game. I thought the project was just hitting me with a kill-tacular in the corner. I didn't know it was tied to something bigger, but there's a multiplier, and you gotta juggle yourself between bad boys to build it up, which is a really fun challenge when you're teleporting around as Shiny Shadow. But then again, I managed to earn S ranks without even knowing this was there, so this wasn't a huge incentive for my stage score and more just me trying to make the number really big. And that's fun. However, my homework also led me towards the upgrades that I skipped. Sonic gets the most, as they're just replicating his stones from the original, and the options here added a lot of new techniques in battle and traversal. But again, none of these powers were essential for my playthrough. I was doing fine stoneless anyways. However, they do lend themselves to a lot of speedrunning tactics, which is something I never considered. I always viewed speedrunning as taking advantage of glitches, but in a game that's been unglitched, you instead focus on what they give you. Stelmo's speedrun was very fascinating to watch in that regard, and while I don't work for fast times myself, I can now understand the appeal in this game. Last tiny thing that I thought was really cool was that the stones had an upgrade mechanic. It's per level, and it tops off very quickly, but that's such a unique addition to these things. Besides the stones and Silver's Chakra booster pack, there are the super forms, but not for Shadow or Silver. Shadow takes off his weighted bracelets, and Silver breaks through the metaverse. I thought that was really clever, saving us from the standard yellow recolors. Plus, they all have different functions, so it's not just Mr. Invincible 3 times in a row. And there are checks in place to stop you from cheesing everything. Shadow freezes in place after he loses his form, Silver has to keep juggling a maturity meter, and Sonic, of course, got those rings. Truth is, I never really like to go super in any Sonic game. I feel like it skips over everything they laid out for us. But I will admit, it's been implemented here as a risky power-up, and I admire that. Also, last tiny little thing, I went super on that final Mach speed in Kingdom Valley. That was like the fastest moment I've ever had in Sonic history. I was holding on for dear life. It was terrifying and awesome. But with 2 runs down, let's get specific on the entire thing. I kinda already first impressed my gameplay thoughts, but not for all the other characters, so let's break down all our friendly amigos. These guys were some of the worst parts of 06 for me, except for like Blaze, but how are they here? Fan-freaking-tastic. With so much care put into the 3 main hogs, I really thought these mutuals were gonna get a quick rinse, but no, they play wonderfully, better than like some of the official games. Since you already know the changes, I'm just gonna detail my first impressions. Here we go. Tails was an immediate difference. You can feel his weight when he's hovering around, his struggle. It makes me wish his level layout was harder because now I love attempting to move him past platforms, but he's got a whole wave ocean for that. I was never a fan of the dummy rings, but at least they are fast and accurate here. Plus, filling up his meter through kills gives us incentive to keep the flying guy airborne for much longer, but his SA1 spin really seals the deal. Knuckles' moveset was surprisingly deep for a guy who glides around 2 dark rooms. I didn't even realize he had separate finishers that all reference his different attacks through the series. But his corkscrew still works great, as well as his ground pound. You don't get a lot of room to experiment with him, but even when you are hunting, the movement is so much more manageable. But what about his wife? I can finally fight as Rouge, and I love the ease-in with her final kick as it holds in the air. Made me want a triple combo so much. The speed of her bomb throws made her appear much more nimble, like how she is portrayed in the series. Running in, flinging quick bombs, and dealing precise kicks does give her that clean, calculated secret agent vibe, and P06 demonstrated that very well. But Omega, ooh man, what a transformation, huh? Gamma was one of my favorite playstyles in all of Sonic, and it's fun to just lock on and spam as a huge robot again. I always prefer my Sonic robots to run and gun, and Omega kept up that pace well. Plus his Terminator FPS machine gun mode was such a hilarious discovery. Not only does it assist for those long-range enemies in Dusty Desert, but I also want to try marching through a level using only this. It's diabolical. Now Blaze is an interesting one, because I actually loved her moveset in the original. She was probably one of my favorito amigos. But all her stupid kinks have been ironed out, and she just rips through enemies left and right now. That quasi-homing attack is such a great Blaze signifier. I wish we got more of her. But she also gets a wave ocean, thank God. Clawing and spinning is fun too, but I prefer just juggling her around like the main trio. Finally, Amy Rose. Probably the biggest glow-up. Now, this might sound a little insane, but I enjoyed Amy's movement in SA1 at high speeds. I always try to finish acts constantly somersaulting with a hammer bounce, and it's back here, and so devastating. Plus, she can ball up and bounce like the boys too, which I didn't even think of adding, but yeah, she is a hedgehog, right? That makes sense. If anything, Amy feels a little overpowered in my book, so maybe that's why they gave her the spin penalty, which is animated so delightfully. Blaze doesn't feel overpowered because her moments are all runways, but Amy has to clear rooms, and there is just no competition. She devours everything. Coming out of this, I really wish these guys got more levels to experiment with in the base game, but that seems already covered with mods. Plus, I believe the Amigo DLC is coming with the final patch too. Along with the last story, we'll have a lot of room to mess around with these guys. What a joy! Alright, now let's discuss something important to every AHHHHH vid. The levels! What can I say here, right? These are pretty cut and paste from the original. But they too seem to be tweaked in ways which fit right in line with the original experience. So, I haven't done all my history, but I'm going to assume a lot of the new chunks were cut content, now restored and implemented correctly? I don't know, but they're a welcome inclusion. We see a deeper use of track elements this time around. Pole swinging, wind riding, and even just new rails help break up what used to be boring springs. The transitional routes are also a fantastic addition, not just with the structure of the level, but also with your method of play. You can use Knuckles much more in Flame Core to kill the enemies because Sonic has to climb through it upon completion. Killing lizards as the hothead makes this much easier. The culminations of certain layers seem to be tweaked as well, like springing around in Crisis City will fly you right over a forced combat encounter, or taking the first eagle in Kingdom Valley will again eagle you past a bunch of robots. Attempting riskier paths rewards you with a faster playtime. I can't really complain about combat now because I know if I play well, I'd skip it entirely. They fixed the camera angles too. Oh my god, I gotta mention that. Praise the Lord, we got some wide overhead views for those combat rooms, and they help so goddamn much. Silver in specific, all of his physics fights are aided tremendously when you can see what's coming around you. I appreciate the new angles on the set pieces too. Tropical Jungle now lets you catch all that sick wall running, and even the switch in Wave Ocean's Mach speed section. That change isn't really crucial, but it certainly adds to the feeling of Sonic zoning in on the egg carrier. They know what they're doing there. The reintroduced voice lines also play a double act. Not only do they give life to the moments, but they legitimately help explain puzzles and hazards. I can't believe how much they cut out of this thing. Sonic, get on this ball! And finally, the custom areas made from scratch are well executed in my opinion. I was wary of how new routes were going to operate, but these things put up a fight and forced me to use more of my Sonic skills, which I love. You got a lot more footwork in Shadow's Wave Ocean. Blaze's Wave Ocean has been switched up. A lot of stuff going down in Wave Ocean, people. Also, I thought they actually included a shortcut around the final ball puzzle in Dusty Desert, and was very surprised to find an upgrade sitting there. But even that ball puzzle works totally fine now. I got it on my first try. What a relief. There's so much more I could get into. The randomized key locations for Rouge, an operable glider flight for Kingdom Valley, no more stupid seesaw puzzle and radical train. But the bottom line is this. It's surprising how many things were fixed here that I didn't know I needed. It's such a far cry from Vanilla 06 now. They clearly go above and beyond functionality and really make it their own thing. I don't think I can just replace any future 06 video with P06 levels because they are very different experiences. Plus, I love to compare, don't I? But I digress. Let us continue into my final little section, my favorite part of this entire experience, the details. I saved this part for last because it ultimately is the thing that stuck with me the most. If this was just a fixed up 06, I would be positive, but I certainly wouldn't come back. Sonic 06 just isn't that Sonic game for me, but it is for others, and I would be happy for them about this fan remake. However, the careful attention to detail is what really changed my tune. Cold breath in White Acropolis, heat warping in Flame Core, the in-level cutscenes that help frame the stages, the weather changes, cinematic filters, environmental touch-ups, the train switches are levers. There is rain on my camera. This is so specifically my shit, man. If you unveiled Project-06 to me for the first time, using a fully functional Crisis City, I definitely come out of it caring about the truck jump more than anything else. I'm a weird Sonic player, I'll fully admit that, because those are my favorite elements of Sonic games. The set dressing, the pomp and circumstance. It's what I try to focus on in any of my level videos. I love how Sonic Team revels in spectacle and cares very much about the worlds and vibes they're creating. You know, game feel. And I was not expecting game feel here. Sure, maybe 06's, but the project clearly has its own aura around it. Characters' expressions are wider in these new animations. It feels beyond Sonic, which stamps it with its own signature. Proper lighting deepens the contrast, embellishing the environment, but also allowing the particle effects to pop more. Stages are much more active now that we're catching so much. Cinematics that have their own vision to them, which sets it apart from the original, in a way I admire. Something in line with what I believe Sonic Team always strives for, but are never given the time to fully perfect. Sonic 06 attempted to create these progressive stages which swap between characters and playstyles, and it's miraculous to finally see this stuff perform how it was supposed to, and maybe even a little better. It's funny because these are the types of things I would advise any fan game to avoid, because your core gameplay should ultimately be the thing that holds your project together. Details come after. But for P06, the core was there to begin with, and they could have just patched it up, but they didn't stop there. So for me, it's the details that keep me coming back, and I am so excited to see what awaits us in the final patch. Chaos X and the whole team really went above and beyond to make P06 a brand new experience of Sonic the Hedgehog. But hey, conclusion time. So, to conclude, yeah, I really like this thing. I love how it reinvented this nightmare from my childhood into something that fits in line, dare I say even excels past other Sonic games. It's legitimately such an impressive feat, and I would encourage any Sonic fan to download it and play. It's totally free and available, and I'm sure you already have. But I don't think you should leave the original Sonic 06 in the dust either. Despite my problems with it, I would still recommend everyone at least try Vanilla 06. Before or after, I don't really care. But you owe it to yourself to run through this thing. If you're a Sonic fan, or even like a fan of video games in general, get some friends together and play through Sonic 06. I promise you will be entertained. Ironically, or earnestly, that's on you. I hope these two games sit together in the future. I don't want it to overshadow how big of a moment Sonic 06's original release was to the franchise. I like how they're shared in conversation now. It's a topic that always expands further into discussions on development, attitude, fandom, mechanics. You kinda gotta discuss it all if you want to fully understand 06. And ideally, we won't rip each other apart. When we do, please, let's be nice. It's just a video game. But P06 is technically not done, and so a final update is coming in the future. Probably right after this video releases, if God wants to laugh in my face. The very hard modes are going to be a joy to experience again, and I'm excited to see if any new details get added to the mix. I do wonder what's next for Chaos X after this. Maybe a long-needed rest, I would hope. It feels like any future additions can be solved by modder stepping in. Modding is already prevalent in this game. If people are dying for town missions, I'd imagine that's a gap that will naturally be filled. Lord knows the Sonic community gets things done, but I wouldn't pressure the current leadership to do it. I don't want Chaos X to be trapped by P06 forever, because the changes in the project really demonstrate that he has a great understanding of game design and visual style. If a Chaos X original is coming in the future, I'd rather have that than like 17 more Tails levels. Regardless, he and the team should be proud of the project as it stands, and how it's made a positive impact in the lives of 06 fans everywhere. I can't believe I lived to see this game come up in conversation again, and so positively. It's a welcome improvement. The good ending. As for me, I think I got all the material I need for my next generations comparison, and things are certainly heating up. Take a deep breath, because we will soon be plunging right into the submerged, fiery metropolis of Crisis City. Stay tuned, and continue staying tuned as I yap some more in the outro. Hi, hello, what do you think about Project-06? I realize that everyone in the world has already played this thing for years now, but I'm slow. It's kind of my thing, man. I promise you'll get a Crossworlds review in like 2 decades. Anyways, if you have any lingering thoughts on the project, I would love to hear them. All the way down from anyone who started with P06 without touching the original, and anyone who enjoys the original more than the project. I do know that there is a legitimate mod, Legacy of Solaris, for Vanilla 06. Maybe one day we can check that thing out too. But for now, I gotta get my body ready for Crisis City. I understand that new details will probably be added to Crisis City once the final update comes out, but I think we're all good to move forward with what we got, if you're all cool with it. This one has been requested for a while, and I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road. Plus, you know, I really wanted to try P06 anyways. Maybe we can do another look into it again after the final patch comes out. Anyways, for the comparison, we'll be looking at Gens Act 2, of course, but we'll also witness all 3 Hedgehogs in 06, as well as their updates in Project-06. I'll probably handle things similar to Speed Highway. We'll make sure to get both Vanilla 06 and P06 in there for each set piece. I got my work cut out for me, oh god. Hey, also, if you enjoyed this first impression, please do like, comment, and subscribe. I've been told that YouTube isn't notifying people of some of my recent uploads, even for people who are belled on. I try and release a video every 3 to 4 weeks, so just check back in every now and then to see if I got a brand new level for ya. Sorry that this is happening. I don't know how to fix it. Alright, okay, I'm gonna go now. So long, love you guys, goodbye, peace!